What's up, King?
Can you hear me?
Yep. What's up, King? How you doing?
My guy, what's good, brother?
Not much. Welcome to the socially charged, debatable, and dope privilege show. Thank you for joining us today, man. How's it going?
Hey, man, I'm
Yeah,
blessed, man. Thank you for having me, man. This has been a long time coming.
most definitely, most definitely. I think the last time we caught up was at Lena Waite's event. Happy
Yep,
birthday to Lena. Today is her birthday.
I saw
Um,
that. She's got the
yeah.
DJ cracking.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Getting started. I'm gonna try to catch a little bit more once we, get done with our thing. I wanted to
Yeah.
introduce you to Carmen as well. Carmen, this is Kenyamba. I'm not sure if you guys have met before, but yeah, Carmen is also a therapist, and she's been on with us kicking it. I'm glad you joined us as well at the right time. She's been on kicking it with us, explaining how she does her work for therapy through hip hop music. Teaching at different schools and high schools and things of that nature. And we were just saying how I thought it was interesting that youth hip hop usually has a negative connotation surrounded around it. Whether it's thugs or pants sagging or things of that nature, people uh, put hip hop and that within a negative barrel. So it's very interesting to hear how Carmen has been able to take hip hop music and culture and take that to teach across the states in the U.S. As a form of therapy. So without further ado, Kenyamba, I want to give the floor to you to kind of,
Okay.
we'll definitely gonna have some more Q&A and different things, but I'd like to give the floor to you to talk about some things you're doing. Me and Lashane checked you out this past Wednesday when you and your guy, Dr.
Dr. Alexander.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. A, right? For sure.
Dr. A, yeah.
Okay, I'm bad with names. I'll be slaughtering names, so you got me covered though. Tell us a
Cool,
little
yeah.
bit about that and introduce us to what how your therapy works in realm with mental wellness and mental health.
So, I'll just start with the idea that I'm a firm believer that mind, body, and spirit are all one. And we we as a people have been disconnected from our spiritual roots. And I say we as a people, I'm talking about people of melanin, people who come from the continent who were snatched and brought over here. We were disconnected from our essence, and therefore we were positioned into a space of being without the connectivity to our truest source, our highest source, knowledge of self. If you look at a lot of the wisdom that's been taught through a lot of the boroughs and the communities of the inner city communities through, fruit of Islam or 5%ers, they always talk about knowledge of self, call each other peace God, and things of that nature. And there's a reason behind that. It's really just brainwashing, guys. Like, so when it comes down to it, a lot of our mental health and the mental anguish comes from the fact that we don't have an identity, the lack of knowledge of self, the lack of self-worth. If you have a problem with your mom and you're a child and you don't necessarily know how to communicate to your mom as an adult, what generally happens? If you want something and you don't get it, you throw a tantrum. You cry, you kick, you fuss. My child, my baby, when she's hungry, she cries because she doesn't have knowledge of self that she can communicate, that she can talk, that she can sit at the table and essentially speak with the same kind of intellect that I'm speaking to her with. She just hasn't been able to acquire that knowledge yet. So our kind of level of people right now, our people as a sort of like, we're in like almost like a juvenile state, like a perpetual juvenile state where we're constantly throwing tantrums for attention. However, if we were able to have a paradigm shift, a perception shift of saying, hey, I can bring value to the table. Value is basically, in my theory, my philosophy, value is purpose. When you have a purpose, you do it purposeful, you live a purposeful life, like a purpose-driven life, like that book, you end up providing value. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a unique purpose. And then if it can be monetized, it should be. And it generally will be, because your purpose is unique. That's why people follow certain people, because they have some sort of perception of living their purpose or living a purposeful life, and people admire that and they want to follow that. This is why social media became what it is. So personally, and the reason why I say all that is because that's like kind of like the common denominator across all forms of mental wellness is really self-love, self-determination, self-worth.
Yeah.
One of the best ways I've found personally to grow love for myself is by developing my physical and mental self and align with my spiritual self using martial arts. See, martial arts to me is one of the best components or activities that a human being can do, because what it does, it creates the value of life. You now are able to defend yourself against an attacker or become a weapon, learn how to wield a weapon. And by doing so, you now have an appreciation for life. You have an appreciation for the understanding of what could happen, the ramifications if things went left. And so as a result, you may not want to go left as much because you're like, yo, this isn't the way. Moreover, the first martial arts were healing arts, because when you have static meditation for so many different hours and months and years, you cause atrophy. Your body doesn't have the same kind of mobility and flexibility. So that's where the yogis came in, and they incorporated the prana and the breathing with the stretching and the elongation of the body. That's where qigong came in, where they took the Taoist beliefs of the circulation of flow and energy and then put it into the visualization and energy circulation within their own body. And that's how it became the first martial artist. Then later then you had Kung Fu and Kali and Wushu and grappling, all these different things that came from that, from people basically turning that beautiful art of really healing into an art of taking one's health away from them. So let's circle all the way back. You have to love yourself. In order to love yourself, you should perfect yourself. You continue to build on yourself. I believe that if you build your body, you build your mind. You build your mind, you build your body. It's all connected. You build your body and your mind, and inevitably you build your spirit. It's almost like the equation A plus B equals C. C is always going to be a derivative of A plus B. C is the spirit. It's always going to be a derivative of your ability to find consistency in the development of your body and your mind. To me, mind development is learning, creating value for your time, whether it be an instrument, whether it be languages, whether it be a new technology. And then body is the idea of creating and growing your health through your nutrition, your activities, and things of that nature. Yeah. So that's kind of how I approach this thing. And when I got with the doctor, my intention, which is I think where we had a lot of success, is to add credibility. Because a lot of times we are all very esoteric. We all have this philosophy. We're all philosophical.
And
but I wanted to provide scientific and...
Real quick for our viewers, I'm sorry to cut you off. Define that word you just said.
Which one? Esoteric?
Yep.
So esotericism, being an esoteric or having an esoteric mindset essentially is moving in a space of the unseen. So it's almost like having a spiritual consciousness. Like a lot of what you see when you see about like numerology, the philosophy of astrology, the idea of energetic karma and things of that nature. Those things of that nature, those are all like esoteric belief systems, whereas you can't really put a finger on it, but you feel it.
Yeah.
And this valid.
That's good.
Qigong is esoteric, is an esoteric philosophy, because you are taking something that you can't see. Because if you think about it, bro, what we see is literally a grain of sand. Mm-hmm. A grain of sand. All that we see is just a grain of sand, where the whole beach is really, we're just oblivious to it, but we can feel it. Our perception through our sensory organs or sensory, the mechanisms that are a part of our perception sensory, they're the five senses, right? Those limit us, right? They don't really give us the true story. The true sense is our sixth sense. That's the gut sense. That's why they say you have two brains. You have a brain in your stomach, you have a brain in your head. You have neurons firing off in your gut. That's your spiritual sense. That's your connectivity to the universe, to each other. So all of that said, that's good, but we're living in the 3D world. We're living in a world full of research and full of science. So I wanted to bring in somebody who had that experience, who wasn't MD, who has board certifications, who has the understanding of the anatomy and kinesiology, and could bring the science in to the esotericism, so we can feel and put our finger on it with our heart and with our physical concepts.
Yeah.
So that's really why that came about. Hey, how you doing?
What you guys did was innovative, fresh, groundbreaking, and me as a creative over 15 plus 20 plus years, I have never seen anything like that at that caliber. So when Lashane sent it my way, I'm like, yo, we can't do nothing but support, repost in whatever way we can, because with
I
me and
appreciate
Carmen, I'll big up. Me and Carmen, we were just talking about how our culture we don't ask for help enough. You know what I mean? We're just sitting back. So, and I think for us, we're always waiting for one person to make the move before we make the move. You know what I'm saying? So to see you do that and to take martial arts with the actual person who has a PhD or degree or has studied or, got their share of 10,000 plus hours to be an expert on this type of topic, and y'all come together, that's something that's powerful. And I look forward to seeing more of that.
You know what's interesting? I think as people, we have two reasons why we don't like doctors. One, we don't like doctors because we feel that they're going to lie to us. We feel like we can't trust them. And that is a cultural thing, because we were never taught to have an affinity to those who were in power, because they were generally white. And as a result, because we come from a space in this country of being oppressed by these people, we felt like they wouldn't have our best interests in heart. Moreover, the expenses involved in it. It's not a very easy thing these days to have insurance, especially if you don't have a job, especially if you are a gig worker or an hourly worker, which a lot of our people are. So you're dealing with stressors, you're dealing with all these home remedies, and you're not necessarily getting the true roots of things. And so as a result, you're conditioned over and over and over again to say, nah, I'm good on a doctor. I got an uncle that died of diabetes. My grandmother died of breast cancer. And these people were living with it for years. And it's because of the fact that we are conditioned to not want to trust or endure the expenses or costs that comes with it. And so that's why I wanted to do that, because I wanted to kind of help with the idea of we can be with our own people, still being medical practitioners. We still have medical practitioners who are on our side. And, this is a great way of like giving back, in a sense, where somebody can ask questions to someone who has, so it's like almost like getting free medical advice. And a lot of times we don't have that, mentally or physically.
Yeah, and it is true. Carmen, would you agree that we don't have that, which is one of the reasons you as well created your own, I won't say therapy device, but you created your own, way of kind of wanting to deal with therapy head on with the culture and with people and family and colleagues that you care about, the world.
Yes, definitely. The early beginnings of therapy and counseling are very Eurocentric, very rooted in the promotion of European descent, people of European descent. So, and it's going to take, generations beyond us to move to a more inclusive, more diverse, way of practicing counseling. So, for me, that's not going to work with everybody. That's especially not going to work with people of color in all cases.
Now, when you say that's not going to work, what specifically?
Like traditional talk therapy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, sorry, like traditional talk therapy, or just general, like, just tell me about your feelings. Like, especially if you come from a culture where talking about your feelings is not something that you do at the dinner table, then telling it to a complete stranger may not be right, make you feel comfortable. So How can we find a way for you to talk, or maybe feel more vulnerable to open up? Maybe it's through something that you love and practice every day, which is listening to music. Music is a healing art form. all of us, hopefully, we find some solace and appreciation for music. So that's something that you can easily start a conversation with someone about. So yes, using hip hop, using whatever music form the client likes, or the person you're working with likes. That's really a good way to just kind of get them to feel more comfortable. And it's not rooted in this is a prescription that works with everyone. It's not. Therapy, counseling, you can't use one method, you have to use multiple, and see what works.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. A question for both of you guys. Thanks again for joining us. Last week we talked about a leader of the culture. We have the TI, we have the David Banners, we have, we have a lot of people. Who you said, Kiamba?
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, Killer Mike. Yeah, Isaac, our other co-host, said that last week as well. Killer Mike. And there's one guy I can't think of his name, and I plan to have it ready for us this week. But anyway, moving forward, you guys, who would you say if you had to choose a leader of the culture, based off of your expertise in therapy and your career fields? Who would you say that you? When we talk about leader, we're talking about we're all leaders in our own, amongst our own. Those, I consider us all leaders on this specific thing right now. We're leaders. We're doing something to better and empower. We're doing something of humanitarian type efforts. We're doing a lot of greatness. So when we see leaders, we're talking about people with the celebrities, if you will, the people we named. Who do y'all see that's kind of the closest to leading the culture? Because and no one's taken that Malcolm X, Martin Luther approach. Not saying volatile again. We're not talking about violent per se, but who do y'all see that's like, okay, I see them. Obama's had his run. Who could be the next kind of leader or voice of the people? Maybe that's a better term, voice of the people for the culture, if you will.
Carmen, I'll let you answer that question because you're in music.
Okay.
Yeah, you leverage the leaders already. You have a better insight in that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think of some examples. Thinking about people who are vulnerable and open up about their feelings in music. You can really find that in anyone. So I can't even pinpoint a person that's an artist. But what I will say is YG, so maybe it surprised some people. He actually is very vulnerable. He's very open. His song "Who Shot Me" is actually what got me into even wanting to pursue this and look further and deeper into lyrics, because he literally in the song talked about PTSD and all the symptoms. I literally pulled up the book and went symptom by symptom. So he's very vulnerable in opening up and talking about those things and not being afraid to share that he has those struggles. So as far as, a rapper that I respect for that, him being able to talk about his feelings through music. And as far as like other celebrities that are kind of leading, at least from people who are respected, it's Brene Brown. She's very well respected, especially in the social work community, and talking about vulnerability, and really just like showing up for yourself and being okay with not being okay. I really appreciate her and the work that she's done. I've seen her talks and everything, but she's really well renowned and really well respected by counselors and therapists. But from a music standpoint, it can be anybody. I'd say, you can probably find it in the artists that you really love. You just gotta, it depends on how you connect to them. So I can't really give any more than YG.
That's a good one. I didn't see YG coming, but that's a good one.
I think we have a lot of leaders. I think we have a lot of individual efforts. If you look at, like I said, even the YG example that brings me to Nipsey Hussle, and then the idea of Killer Mike, Ti. Going back to Rakim, Public Enemy, to Wu-Tang. These are brothers that I always felt like I got a different kind of education from. I saw the street Nas, I saw the streets through their dialogue, but I also saw their creativity, their scope of how this thing can get better. But what I think is like to me, you sound. I think that was me hearing it. It might sound spotty. Can you hear me? Because I heard it spotty then. So I'm like,
No,
wait, maybe it's just I'm hearing it, but do I sound spotty too?
you do, but it's funny because
you know what? It's not these headsets. It's funny, so.
let's see. Say something.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, that's so funny because wait, you was talking. I'm like, wait, it's gonna clear up. I didn't want to deem. No, we could hear what you were saying. That's why we was all tuned in. We could hear you, but it was a little muffled. Before I interrupted you and deemed it a Teddy Riley or a Nelly moment, with the sound. I wanted to get.
All right, is that better?
You all good. You good. We heard you though. So you don't even got to repeat. We heard you.
Good.
Yeah, because I know repeating can get, it's like, okay. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I think once you choose to say, I'm going to be of higher decree, I'm going to move in a higher space. Like another person that comes to mind is the baby. He reads a lot. Talks all the time about how much he reads. I think once you do that, you're saying, I'm going to go to college. But I think we got to take it to another level. Instead of putting our admission papers through and going to college, I'm using it as a metaphor, so don't get lost in the idea of going to college. But the idea is that when you get to college, you got to put in work to graduate. We can all say that we're going to go to college, but in order for us to acquire the degree, the certificate that we're looking for, that we're paying for, we have to put in the work. We have to do the work. So I'm saying the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I want us to see the tangible work. We do a lot of talking, and I like to see more community centers being developed. I like to see more grocery stores being developed. I like to see more banks being developed. I like to see more doctors and lawyers being ushered in, more pastors having more regulations as far as which housing communities are developed in which ways, whether it's Section 8 or not, developing political action committees, creating ordinances that govern the city or the community by people who are from the community. And I think that is the next step. And I think that's the work. And, Killer Mike talks about that a lot, in his idea of kill your masters. This idea of like, we are bred to be led. We are born to pay for power, to pay for to go to get your Oscar Mayer wieners and then go pay money to Disney to support the Black Panther, which really is just supporting Disney. So my point is that we have so many prolific leaders. I mean, just look at what Swiss Beats did. I mean, Versus is damn near the highest rated shit on any kind of entertainment medium.
Right.
All because of an idea of creating a vehicle to show the artistic credibility of some of the greatest artists of all time.
Yeah.
If you can do something that quick, that simple, imagine if you got like 4 or 5 of the top echelon people to put together a $20 million community center that teaches urban farming and music and I'm just saying, I mean, this is all like pie in the sky kind of stuff sometimes when I start thinking and talking like this. But when we talk about leadership,
right,
leadership is different for me. It's not about just telling me what to do or what that I need to change. It's about showing me. Some of the greatest kings, the greatest warriors of our history were on the front lines,
right,
swinging the sword, showing. Martin Luther King was big on economics. He wasn't big on integration in the sense of just going to school. He was big on integration of education across the board so that you can develop yourself to be able to have higher income. Mm-hmm. We were coming from sharecropping to essentially blue collar or laborer work.
Right.
Yeah.
Never having the opportunity to do more because we never really were educated for it. We never were afforded the opportunity through education. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the next step. We've got to the point where we're going to college. I love that. But now it's time to fucking put in the work and graduate.
Right.
Agreed. Stephanie Caston on Facebook. What's interesting is rappers are highly influential due to their money and living the American dream. Yet when it comes to being the leader or voice, we downplay them a lot, especially when it comes to when they make a mistake. Look at T.I. and his daughter. Look at Snoop with Gayle. We are, that's a great point, and thanks for chiming in, Stephanie. We are, as a culture, we are like You know, it's like in the jungle, in the wild almost.
Crabs in a bucket.
Exactly. That part, which I can't speak on, which is the episode of its own. But it's like when we see crabs in the bucket, but when we did attack snooping. I won't say we, because I don't know what y'all specific views on that was. But as a culture, we were quick as shit to jump on that and almost put Gail out of the industry, put her out of her entertainment misery. You know what I'm saying? With T.I. and his daughter, that is vague to me. Somebody refresh me on what happened with that? Oh, he went to get her tested. He goes with her to her gynecologist appointments.
Seeing if checking in to see if she was sexually active with her doctor or something like that. Right.
I'm sorry, is that considered a bad thing, or is that considered intrusive?
People dragged him for it, for standing outside the door, essentially waiting to get the update that she still had her hymen. And this is summarizing it. I don't really follow celebrity.
So people felt like it was too intrusive or invading her privacy or something.
Right. So people were ready to like.
I got a daughter. I might do the same thing. Be frank with y'all. Hey, look, baby girl. Chastity belting you up, and you got a razor in your cheek, like slicing it up.
That's funny. I mean, listen, but it just shows as a culture, you know, we are making strides. You know, a lot of us do want more for our cultures and ourselves and that type of thing. But when it comes to a mass, the way that we just, and I say we as a culture, the way we just shut down 2 months later, this Ahmaud Arbery situation. And a lot of people say, oh, because the videos were out there. And we talked about this briefly last episode. Maybe, yeah, because the videos were out there. But I feel like every Black person or cultural person on my culture, or support Black people, or for Black or browns, or not racist, or whatever that may look like, they was reposting that. Whether it was his name, to two white guys who were prosecuted afterward, whatever it was, people seem to really jump more forward as a culture with this Ahmaud Arbery situation than it has in the past. So I think coronavirus, the pandemic, COVID-19 got us hopefully thinking a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? We had a viewer comment on the martial arts. Stephanie Caston on Facebook, Kinyamba, I agree with martial arts. You learn respect, how to defend yourself and others, plus the exercise helps alleviate stress. I took kickboxing and boxing for 2 years. It helped me with a lot of confidence. So we all on the right path. You're on the right path, and thank you, Stephanie, and everyone who's.
And I'm gonna add to that just really quickly. Yeah. If you knew how to defend yourself, do you walk around with your head down?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's deep. Because you know why I say that, ladies. Before you joined us, Kinyamba, we just were talking about self-love. And I specifically stated, as a child growing up, and it's many of us, you know what I'm saying? Lashane shared how her dad was absent from her life. You know, Carmen shared some of her situation. When we're growing up, how do we teach ourselves if our parents or peers or other family members are teaching us self-love? A 3-year-old, what do we know about self-love? So what you just said is pivotal and a capstone to that point for me. You know what I'm saying?
The first thing I said, and I didn't even know you guys had that conversation, but the first thing I said was self-love.
Right.
And I know that because when you work your butt off, learning something as simple as how to correctly put your fist in the right location, or how to correctly stabilize yourself in case something happens, like where someone rushes you, you have a certain sense of pride in yourself. Man, I can do this. I did that. If you like, it's like when you're like running a mile and you're like, dang, do it. You're like miserable, but then all of a sudden when it's done, you're like, I did that. I can do this. When we do things, we bring value. When we bring value, we feel valuable.
Deep. Very, very deep. Thank you for sharing that. Carmen, and I'm gonna come back to you, Kenyon, because and Lashane, I wanna know, and while we're going, thinking about this, think of two of you guys as one of you guys' favorite life quotes. Carmen, I'm gonna hop to you. What's one of your favorite life quotes? It could be from the Bible, it could be, lyric. What's something that a lyric or a word or something that really just gets you going, or that you like to repeat and motivate other people with? What's one of your go-tos?
I already know what it is. I say this to my students and I say this to myself when I need to. I can't quite recall who said it, but it's proper preparation prevents poor performance.
7 P's.
Yep. So I love that line. I love
Right,
that.
best sport performance. We learned that when we did when I was online. Shout out to the bros, A5. I love that.
So it's the 7 principles you're speaking of, Kenyamba, right? Is that what you
we
said?
called it a 7 P's. Prior
7 Ps.
preparation prevents piss poor performance, but
Got
same
it.
thing.
That's great. That's great, Carmen. Thank you for sharing that. That sounds like a tongue twister. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine will have to be, and it may sound cliche, but I've just always been standing by it. But no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I mean, it just speaks to so many different things, you know, from personal to work to career to all that good stuff. LaShane, what's one of your go-tos?
After the one you just mentioned, the one I'll say, I'm summarizing it, but it's from Robert Frost, and it says, in 3 words, I can sum up all that I've learned about life, that it goes on. And that's super important for me because I tend to have an attachment to outcomes. So that's control issues and all of that. And that a lot of that is being stuck either in the past or too focused on the future. So it's something that reminds me to be present, because most things you will get through, right? Unless it's death, you will get through it. But even death is total healing, depending on what you believe in. So that would be one. And I actually that has stuck with me probably since junior high, I would say.
And what's that specific one again?
In 3 words, I can sum up all that I've learned about life. It goes on.
Love that. And what's your second one?
The one that you mentioned.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. I find so much faith and encouragement and motivation through that as well. And as well as the one you shared, Carmen, proper preparation. Yeah.
Prevents
poor performance. Got it. P. And then Kenyamba, what's one of your go-tos or a couple of your go-tos?
Man, there's so many, bro. Like, you know, a winner never quit, a quitter never wins. Each one teach one, each one reach one. You think you lost, you already lost. Success begins in a person's will. I feel like I've been like drilled with today, not tomorrow. Even being a martial artist, coached by my football coaches, I've been drilled with all kinds of different things. But what stands out to me the most was taught to me by actually a Shaolin monk, and it was about enlightenment. He said, before I was enlightened, I had to push the boulder up the hill. After I was enlightened, I had to push the boulder up the hill. The difference is acceptance.
That's deep. That's deep. Because I literally just sat here as you said that, feeling myself pushing the boulder up a hill and turning it into some of life's challenges and life struggles, and thinking that when is it going to be over? When am I going to push through? When is it going, when is that stimulus check hitting? All these different things. It's like, when is it? And LaShane, we guys, we talked about this briefly last week. We're like, yo, I guess that's what the movie Road to Happiness. What is it with Will Smith? Is that Pursuit of Happiness? And I may not be paraphrasing that specific storyline the right way, but what we were chatting about briefly was that once you get to that thing you've always wanted, then you're going to be ready to move on to the next thing, and better and better and better and more and more and more. And I guess that is just human nature. And so what I'm getting from you saying that is, whatever obstacle, whatever challenge, waiting on that stimulus check, if your phone's bill is getting turned off, if your lights is off, just know that you're going to get through it. Find some acceptance through that process, but that's not going to be the last time that thing happened, because you're going to have to push another boulder up again to find some sense of happiness again. So that's what I'm saying.
Or that's essentially what it is, but just to add a little caveat to it. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. Embrace it all. Mm-hmm. Just embrace it all. Whatever it is, embrace it. Because there's nothing wrong with the challenge.
That's good. That's good. Now, when do you jump ship though?
I mean, the whole idea of jumping ship is basically evaluating a situation. You should always evaluate where you are and essentially discern. You have to, one of the beautiful things about humanity or human nature is the ability to discern. Discerning basically is, this is right for me, this is wrong for me. Everybody has an opportunity to do that. It's called free will, right? So you want to be good at the discerning nature, right? You want to have that. But you also have to understand that we live in a paradoxical world. And as much as we can control our fate by, not smoking cigarettes or looking both ways before crossing the street, or, not walking around with a metal umbrella in the middle of a lightning storm to help ourselves live long, right? But a meteor can hit me today. So it's paradoxical. Whereas I can control things, but I also can't control things. Like you said, Lashane, life goes on. It goes on. What we have to do is just embrace what's going and then allow ourselves to find the silver lining in all this.
Agreed.
It's like a lot of people are doing with this COVID thing. Now they're getting closer to their families. They're working on pet projects. They're cleaning out their closets. They're, they're gardening. I started a garden. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I going to plant eggplant in the real 2020? I ain't got time for that.
That's true.
I'm out here trying to get it. But now it's like, wait, God bring me. So let me use this, not complain about it, or create a podcast, right? Join good brothers and sisters like you guys and continue to spread a message. Read more. Cultivate myself. There's always a silver lining in everything. Everything is yin and yang. It's all about how you perceive it.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's this has been, like I said, a powerful episode for me. I'm learning so much as I talk, and the more that I'm experiencing this conversation, not just because of you guys' perspective fields, what you do for work and dreams and that thing, but I am also finding the power and conversing in numbers. You know what I'm saying? Being able to share those thoughts, your experiences. And I feel like we just scratched the surface of this conversation. I don't think we fully got to the full girth of things. But before we part for now, Lashane, did you have any other items that you wanted to discuss, or did you guys have anything that you want to leave with the viewers and listeners before we part ways for this episode?
I just had some questions, I guess, or a question, more so for Kinyemba, because we kind of dived in with Carmen earlier. With your background, like, how would, if someone is trying to work towards that balance in their life, right? Someone who hasn't quite found it yet, found their footing, and they were interested in martial arts, what would your recommendation be, like where to start? I know, like, for myself, I learned Tai Chi pretty young, which was super, super beneficial for anxiety, but you're talking about something else, right? Or is that a key component of what you're talking about, what you do?
When you ask where should you start, are you asking like what facility you should go to, or are you asking what type of martial arts should you start with?
I'm sorry, what type of martial arts?
Sure. So I think it really what speaks to you. So to me, it's like an instrument, right? It's like I would tell you, say, hey, listen, you want to develop your brain power, you need to learn an instrument. Now, it could be a guitar, it could be the piano, it could be a flute. It doesn't matter, right? Generally speaking, you start with the piano because that gives you a kind of wider breadth of learning how to, the symbol, not the symbols, but the notes, and how to write the music, the keys, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little bit easier on your fingers. So if that were the case, and we're looking in a sense of like the ease of start, a frictionless entry, then yes, I would say actually Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a great art. The very first thing that you need to learn in martial arts is posture and breath. Posture is important because posture allows for the circulation of chi to flow through. When you are playing baseball and you swing at the bat and you use your arms, you're only going to hit the ball but so far. But if you use your hips, you use your feet, you turn your hips, you turn your torso, and then your bat ends up being an extension of all that power, you knock that thing out 450 yards or 450 feet or whatever it is. So the understanding of the anatomy and how to use everything in a strike or in a block or even in cultivation of energy for yourself is found in Qigong and Tai Chi. Qigong was considered widely as the first art of Shaolin, which is essentially a breathing art.
I would highly recommend starting off with that space. But you can go into kickboxing. You can go into grappling. You can go into Kali. You can go into Silat. You can go into, sword fighting. I mean, fencing. But that boxing is a martial art. Yoga is a martial art.
Okay.
One of the things that I will say, though, is the onlinedojo.com is coming in another week. And it will be the first time ever where you can actually go to a marketplace, find an instructor, and train with them or their classes live, the same way that we're talking right now.
This is an app. I came in, sorry, last quick second of that.
This is a website that my team and I are developing.
Dope.
It's not up yet, but it's called the onlinedojo.com. I didn't want to kind of talk about it yet because it's not there yet, but it's very, very close. And we have 14 instructors on there right now, which actually it's going to be the Airbnb for martial artists. Where if you're a martial arts instructor, you could host or you could put up your profile. And if you're a student and you want to learn, you want to have hundreds of instructors to pick from with different art forms.
Nice.
And we're so excited because it is so necessary to be able to have that accessibility to that knowledge, even if it's from the comfort of your own home. And what's more, a lot of these martial artists, they're hurting right now. They're hurting. Their gyms are closed. They don't know about Zoom. They don't know about SEO. They don't know about keywords. They don't know about backlinking. They don't know about Facebook ads. So they're hurting.
Podcasting about affiliate marketing, none of that.
None of that. So we trying to help these people feed their families. And you got people in their 60s and 70s who've been doing martial arts since they were 10, a la my dad. So he doesn't really get down with the whole Instagram thing. So it's not really his stick to be teaching in front of a camera. But when we're changing this whole thing because of this COVID, this is the silver lining.
Right.
We just found a beautiful thing to come out of something that's so bad.
That's
Can I
awesome.
say one more thing real quick?
We here. Yeah, we here.
I want to just stress how important it is for the collective to continue to grow. If you read anything, read Think and Grow Rich. And on Think and Grow Rich, one of the last chapters he talks about is the power of the mastermind. And he talks about people like Dale Carnegie not knowing anything about steel. And yet he was one of the best or highest tycoons in that industry because he got people around him. And it's very important that we continue to cultivate these conversations with multiple people with multiple different perspectives and people who are watching to continue to share and have their own type of conversations because we have to grow the collective. And that is a very, 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 very important thing right now, especially.
It's huge. It's huge, because we don't do enough of it or we, I feel like our people specifically, we can't get past the humility factor. We got
conditioned not to trust each other.
That part, but that is the main part. Well, I won't say the main part because we all live our own experiences, but
sure.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago and we talked about supporting Black banks specifically. And we had a few different viewpoints on that. I was for more so, let's start building it together. And a couple of, my co-hosts have shared different viewpoints. They're like, well, I want to put my money where I can be trusted. I don't want to put my money into a Black bank just because it's a Black bank and they got bad customer service and they giving overdraft fees and it takes 10 hours to get through to somebody on the phone. I'm sorry when I could just go to Bank of America, you know what I'm saying? And so then you have those conversations. So one of the points of the Privilege Show was to break stigmas, to have these socially charged, debatable, and dope conversations to where, if you're not listening to your mama or your grandma or your sister or your teacher, listen to someone that you can connect with, whether it's male, whether it's female. We don't have kids on the show, but you get what I'm saying? We different walks of life. So how do we break those stigmas of actually coming together as Black creators, as Black entrepreneurs, as Blacks in tech, as Black therapists, because it is the crabs in the barrel atmosphere when it comes to our culture. And that obviously, in my opinion, and I think that you guys would agree, has been inbred in us since slavery. To be pit against each other, to have to, one of us can't do this better than the other one because it's enough room, and you hear it so much, but it's so much room out here for all of us. It's just how many of us are willing to get up in the morning and thank God and be grateful and give gratitude and take in some humbleness a piece of humble pie enough to say, yo, let me do what's necessary for myself and who I care about or what I care about. So Kenyamba, when you mentioned moving with a little bit of purpose, that hit me because I don't want to work for someone else's corporation that's not necessarily for me or my culture or who we're or what we're about. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to retire from that. I have $1 million sitting under this roof right now. However, it's been hard for me to build a team because everyone has to own it themselves. Everyone has to do it themselves. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
a lot of
that's where the struggle is with the Black culture. Everybody has to be the boss. So I want to open these floors to have these conversations up to start to break, you know, some of these things. And I'll let you guys comment on that. Facebook user Anitra White. People need to know we are all dealing with our own level of anxiety and stress and are able to express that. United we stand, departed we fall. That's a great point. What is y'all take? Kenyamba, I think you had, or Lashane, Carmen, y'all feel free to let me know how y'all feel we can possibly break the stigma of working together when it comes to Black businesses and Black creatives. Because it's, believe it or not, and Kenyamba, are you in the entertainment industry as well, correct?
Of course, yep.
I'll let you talk first because this might lead into another episode. So I'm gonna let y'all give y'all 2 cents because I can talk, but I'm gonna let y'all give y'all.
Who you talking to? I'm Kenyamba Mutaka Bear. You don't know me?
Yeah, I'm gonna get. You don't know who I am?
You better Google me.
You better Google me. No, but listen, before I talk y'all ears off, and because I'm very passionate about this because you know it's here. We talk about working together and talk about Black people being crabs in a barrel. We talk about different things we can do, but who's really doing it? It's not Black Hollywood. It's not the Black celebrities in a group. I'm talking about a cluster. I ain't talking about one person. I'm talking about a cluster. But anyway,
that's why I said before about like college and everybody talking like, I'm going to get this knowledge. I'm going to go, but where's the work? That's why I said that, because there's a lot of that, but it's more than it was before. And it's going to continue to evolve and get better and better. I was watching Black as F or Black AF, you know what I'm saying? Kenya Barris show. And it was amazing how he had an episode where he had Ava, Lena Waithe, Tim Story, Issa Rae, Ava DuVernay, and Will Packer, all on like a Zoom. And he's like, yo, I want to talk to y'all about doing something. And Ava was like, yo, this is dope. I love this idea. Let's work together. And he had something completely different that he wanted to do. I don't know if y'all seen the show, but it's as simple as that. You know, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Maybe it's happening. Maybe there is a Black Illuminati that I don't know about. But all I'm saying is that we need to see tangible shit. Like, there's no reason why we got people like Oprah and LeBron and Obama, and there aren't any community centers that are in these communities that they even are from. Like, Chicago should have like the dopest community center of all time, considering Jordan, Obama, and Oprah. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
hometown too. So yeah.
With all the rappers that came out of Atlanta, there should be some big ass dope. I mean, I live on Melrose. You know how many Jewish centers are up here on Fairfax and La Brea?
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
The Jewish Center for Learning, the Rothschild Center for Education, the so Center for this, and they are blocks long. Blocks with security guards in front, with gates, and the walls are plain. The windows are not see-through. You don't know what's going on in there. And, you know, it's cool. I grew up with Sister Claire Muhammad School. I grew up with FOI. I felt some kind of way about going to a school where everybody spoke to me and looked like me or had the same kind of mindset that I had of growth. But here's the thing. You said it. We don't trust each other. Here's how to trust you. I'm going to tell you right now. This is how you trust someone. By working on yourself. The more you improve who you are as a person, the more you exude that. The more you are sensitive or hypocritical about your actions, the more you aren't quite sure about your shit, the more you know that you're not an honest person, the less you trust someone else. The more you know that you're going to do the right thing, the more you inspire that in people around you. You reflect what you project.
You're muted.
I'm muted?
I'm sorry, I was muted. I was just saying that was
like,
deep.
damn.
I was just saying that was deep, and thank you for sharing that, Kenyamba. Man, it's been we've that's why I say this is a layered conversation. I do want to do this more often, and I do want to bring in others, and I do want to get this to the versus status to where we having these type of conversations with 300,000 plus people. Now that's when we making strides on a level of talking about some real stuff. You see what I'm saying? But not taking anything away from versus or any of that, because that is great. They're kicking that off. Carmen, did you have any last words for us?
Yeah, I would say very much kind of piggybacking off of Kinyamba, definitely when I was thinking about how can we learn to trust each other, it really does come down to self-reflection, really recognizing and seeing the imperfection, the light and dark in ourselves, and being able to embrace that and accept that. And be able to look at your fellow man or fellow woman, fellow child, and accept, okay, everybody's growing, everybody's, nobody's in their final form yet.
Right.
So how can we support one another and really be like, okay, I think of it like, okay, I support Black businesses whenever I can. If I can get the same product at a Black business and pay $2 extra, I will do that. I want to be able to see Black businesses thrive. I want to be able to see Black people be able to, be able to provide for their families because of the dollars that I spend to help them. So, that comes to me, that comes to talking to my friends about it and being like, hey, yeah, customer service is not going to be great at a white restaurant, at a white business. So why do we hold it so high on Black businesses? We should be treating it just the same. So,
and thanks for saying that too. That's been one of my things too, is that we pick and choose what we want to support. LaShane, last words. Last words.
I'm definitely one of the people who won't think Black currently, but that has more to do with ease and accessibility. But all to say how I thought it was really interesting that we all touched on self-love, more specifically being the root of it all. I do think that has so much to do with your mental wellness, and it has everything to do with the retrograde that we're in right now. So just kind of all full circle. It's about addressing, sitting with yourself, having those moments of self-reflection and recognizing your own shadow aspects and where you put yourself through certain illusions that prevented you from being able to grow and ascend to the next thing. So when you can have that understanding about yourself and you're no longer you're also in a position to be able to view someone else not as a villain and someone who's necessarily subjected you to a certain experience, but that you both needed to have that encounter to learn and develop and grow, and that was the soul contract, and you move forward from there. So I thought that was really fantastic that all of what we're talking about is like right on time.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I thank you guys again. Thank you to our special guest, Kinyamba, Carmen, doing some great things for the world, doing some great things for the Privilege Show. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Socially Charged, Debatable, and Dope Privilege Show, where we have conversations and things to break the stigmas, hopefully break the stigmas. We airing every Monday, weekly, every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the HausHill Media Network, www.houshillmedia.com. You can find Kinyamba at, what's your IG? Let's drop your IGs or Facebook, y'all got it.
Yeah. King_Yumba.
Yumba.
YUMBA.
Yep, there we go. It sounds like NBA, but then you was like MBA. It flows.
Yeah, MBA like the degree, baby.
Yep, MBA. Carmen, where can our viewers and listeners find you at?
My Instagram is Carmen Sense, like common sense, all one word.
Dope. Carmen Sense, CARMEN Sense. Y'all got it. You can check us at The Privilege Show on Instagram. Thank y'all again for tuning in, and y'all stay safe. Yeah.
We shout out Moments of Alignment too. Check out Moments of Alignment for Mental Health. That's my other brand, and that's also something that I use to inspire with the Qigong and the martial arts. So if you guys are interested, go to Moments of Alignment, momentsofalignment.com, Moments of Alignment on all social media platforms. And then it's coming soon, the online dojo. We'll talk about that too.
Dope.
We'll come
Yeah,
back.
please.
We'll do another one. I'm gonna be back.
Yeah, please,
Come
because
back.
we
I'm
had
inviting
some,
myself.
we had some great chats. And listen, y'all had our viewers and you know, people chimed in and really leaving some great feedback. And thank you to everybody who's been rocking with us this episode. This is episode 11 of the Privilege Show, titled "They Say I'm Crazy, Maybe I'm Crazy," covering everything about mental health, therapy through hip hop, therapy through martial arts, everything Black, culture-wise, culture-based. And we will holler at y'all next time. Thank y'all again.
One love.
Yep. Peace, y'all.